So now that you've played the game, let's see how to build this. Now, I'm not going to have you start from scratch on this. What I'm going to have you do is just rework my code. To do this, all you're going to do is click on C inside. This gives you the code that I use to create this game. Now, some of the things that you're going to want to keep when this sprite is clicked, go to x55, y -85. Now, I know we've talked about the origin being at 0, 0. However, the middle of the screen in the Scratch program is at x55, y -85. So that's where I'm going to want him to start. We like to think about it as 0, 0, the origin, but for the programming, we're going to put it here. The other thing is when the flag is clicked, go to x55, y -85. Again, that's when you start the game. You want the sprite to start at what looks like the origin on our screen. Now here's where we start getting into movement. My first command is when up arrow key is pressed, change y by -10. That just means, or change y by 10, that just means that when I push my up arrow on my keyboard, the sprite is going to go up. And it doesn't work real well on my keyboard because my dog broke my keyboard. But he goes up whenever I press my up arrow. And when I click him, he goes right back to where the origin is. Now, that's how you get to move up. If, while I'm pushing my up arrow, I'm at 115 and X and Y position 15, then the letter B is going to pop up for 5 seconds. However, if I'm at X position 55 and Y position -35, then the G is going to pop up. So that's how I get those letters to pop up. It's just if he is or she is on those coordinates, those letters pop up. If they're not on those coordinates, nothing happens. So what we're going to have you guys do is change this so you can have your own secret word pop up. Now, to figure out what your X and Y positions are going to be, what I like to do is just make my sprite move and go to a specific space and mark down those coordinates. So let's say I want my sprite to go to 7, -2. I would press my right arrow key 7 times. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and then push my down arrow 2 times. 1, 2. So in my game, I would have that as 7, -2. And if I look over here, I'm going to put my code at x 125, y -105. And since down arrow was the last key that I had pressed, I would go to where I have my down arrow key, and I would put those positions in my X position and Y position. And you do that just by clicking on it, and then just typing in the numbers that you want. I don't want to change my game, so I'm going to keep that at -105. And you can change the letters too. So I wanted this one to say O. Let's say you were spelling a different word and you wanted to change this to maybe S. You could type in S instead. Again, I don't want to actually change my game, so I'm going to put this back to O. So while you're doing this, you want to really pay attention to what the key is that you're pushing. If the last thing that you're pushing is your up arrow key because you want to end in a positive Y number, you're going to want to put your code in the when up arrow key is pressed. However, if you want a negative Y, you're going to want to go to when down arrow is pressed and put your code in there. If you want this to be on the X-axis, what you're going to want to do is put your numbers into the when left arrow is pressed or when right arrow key is pressed. Now there's a trick to this. You really want those ones to be on the far ends. of your coordinate plane. Otherwise, every time you're moving along your coordinate plane on your x-axis, it's going to pop that number up, and you don't want that. You want to wait until the very end to do those ones. So what I like to do is actually plan ahead. So as you see right here, I drew a plane, and let's say I want to use my dog's name. I did J up here, I did A down here, and then I did my N's and my E all the way at the edge. That way I'm going to have to find J first and I don't hit the E. Then I find my A and I don't hit the N, and then I will finally go to my N, and then over to my E. That way I know that I'm never going to accidentally fall on those. Now, when you're trying to figure out how to write your equations, one thing that I like to do is just figure out the numbers I want. Let's say I want J at 6, 9. I want my x coordinate to be 6, so I just write an equation that has a 6 in it. 2 times 6 equals 12, plus 1 equals 13, and then I just replace the 6 with an A. Same with this one. I have 3 times 7 equals 21, minus 9 equals 12. I just replace the 9 with a P, so then I have this equation for my coordinates. And then I would just plug in the coordinates into my game. And that's it. That's all you have to do to make this game. Now you're going to want to pick a short word to start with and just challenge your friends. You can even just replace a few of my positions, make up your own equations for those, and then pick your own letters to go into those spots. And remember, if you need to know where your character is, so you know what to put as your X and your Y, it's always right here. Alright, that's it. Have fun.